Hey everybody, I'm here today to do the process video for the July ATC swap for my Aussie group. The theme this month is steampunk, one of my favorite. I have done a bit of steampunk this year and I'm happy to say it's one of my favorite techniques. So I'm starting off here stamping my background with a Versamark ink, and I am adding some black embossing powder and then heating it up. The next thing I do is I'm adding some distress stain. This is tea dye, I believe. Making sure that I leave some white space, although you'll see in a little while that the white space does end up disappearing. The next thing I do is I am grabbing my structure paste and I'm adding just a little bit of line using the stencil from Kaisercraft and adding some 3D lines to each of those cards. The next thing is I am adding fired brick here, and I'm trying to go specifically just over the structure paste marks, and again trying to leave some white space. I like that combination of brown and red, it's really interesting. So the next thing I do, I feel like I need some drippage, so I'm going ahead. I started off with Victorian velvet, but it didn't look very nice, so I switched over to festive berries. I believe that's festive berries. And then I add some tumbled glass. And I love that combination of blue on one of them. Adding some drippage marks on this one. And I'm trying to make them a little bit different. Although they go to 3 different people, I just do it for my own interest, so to speak. The next thing I'm doing is I'm just grabbing some elements here. I have wood veneers, I have some cogs, and I have this beautiful crown and wing set. And what I'm doing is I'm adding Versamark to each and every one of those, and then adding either metallic embossing powder or gold embossing powder. For these wood veneers, what I ended up doing is staining them. I tried staining them with the ink cubes first, but it didn't take as well. So I'm going ahead with the brown distressed stain and then stamping them next, then putting them on the Versamark and then adding the clear embossing powder on top. And this is what took me the most time. Seriously, I think this took me about 40 minutes just to get these elements done. And I ended up also adding just a little bit of gold embossing powder onto the cameras. And then while they're still molten, I stamped with my script stamp, so that created an indent, and then I inked that up as well. So here we go. This is the part where you start assembling all your elements. And so I start off trying a few different things. So I'm starting off once again with my texture. One has white lace, another one has the tulle, black tulle and silver cog as its main element. I did staple that down, and then what I ended up doing was using glossy accents to cover up the staple, which I quite like, and I had to leave that to dry for a while. So I put that off to the side and worked on this white lace one. So this one ended up being a strip along the middle, followed by a camera, followed by, I ended up using this charm, which I gold embossed. I did lose some footage here, but really quickly what I ended up doing was putting a little bit of lace at the bottom and a wooden veneer camera on top. On the right hand side, I scrunched up some tulle and then added a cog on top of there, and then I added the crown. What I'm doing now is just adding a little bit of Hessian, which I'm adding to the right ATC as well as the left ATC. So for that left ATC, I ended up putting 2 silver cameras behind that silver cog, and then adding a little bit of Hessian to the very top of it, and I will end up putting a crown on top of that, and you'll see that in the photos at the end. Moving on now to the third ATC, what I'm doing is I'm adding 2 gold ones and then a silver one on the very top. And I hesitated at first combining gold and silver on the one theme, but I thought, hey, this is steampunk, so should be all right. I felt though that it needed a little bit of something in between the silver and the gold, so that Hessian plays such a vital role. I love Hessian. It's such a great texture to art with. The next thing I do is I grab this ribbon, which was a packaging for a Happy Mail that I received, and I add the veneer camera on top, and then I add the silver wings on top of that, and I love how this one turns out. This is my favorite one of the 3, I think. So I'm just going ahead now and sticking down all the elements with hot glue. I'm working with charms and Hessian, which are a little harder to stick down, and I do need the instant stick of the hot glue. I'm inking the edges, adding them onto the black ATC base, and now it's time for sentiments. So for the right ATC, I put the sentiment, love greatly, hearts have all things. For the middle ATC, I put life is full of beauty, hidden by the shadows. And for the third one, I put mischief wears a crown. I love how these ATCs turned out, and these will be ready to go out to my partners in our swap. Having all 3 of them side by side there, they don't look too amazing, but what I'll do is I'll put up some pictures of them individually. That way you can focus on each of the elements separately and appreciate each ATC for its uniqueness. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. I hope you have a good day today, and I'll see you in my next video.